it's, and you've heard this before. I'm not saying it. This is the ultimate bubble when your 12-year-old nephew, this happened to me this weekend, came over and asked me, Auntie, how do I buy Bitcoin?
Well, the biggest bubble in the world by far is the bond bubble. So it's in a 300 year, it took 300 years for the bonds in the UK to get this extended and into a bubble. It took over 240 years for the American debt market to get into this bubble. It's so far in a bubble that's gone negative. Interest rates in the sovereign bond market are now actually negative. So that not even Bernie Madoff, got his Ponzi scheme to that level of extremity. So that is by far the biggest bubble in the world is the U.S. bond market and the sovereign debt market. Then you have behind that, I would say, the fiat money currency. The U.S. dollar is in an enormous bubble. You've got a lot of still some property markets are in a huge bubble, and probably the one asset in the world now that's undervalued, that's not even very close to getting into a valuation that it should be commensurate with the rest of the markets, would be Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the cheapest asset in the world you can buy. As Paul Tudor Jones has said, it's the fastest horse in the race. Paul Tudor Jones doesn't have to say much to make a huge statement. He said that the Bitcoin price is mispriced. He said the Bitcoin price is, whenever he sees something as mispriced as Bitcoin, he gets excited to see that. And what he means by that is what I've just said, essentially, is that everything else pretty much is in a bubble. Bitcoin is one of the only assets probably that's not a bubble. It's in the most undervalued asset probably in the world today.
Yeah, and I think that's such a mind shift, and a hard concept for many to grasp what you're saying right there, Max.
Right. Well, as I said, the central banks are in a bubble. I mean, if you have a 50, 60, 70 time leverage is an enormous bubble. You've got stocks trading at 1,000 times earnings, 1,500 times earnings, Tesla stock trading at over 1,000 times earnings. I mean, by any standard measure of valuation, that would be bubble
Right.
territory.
All right.
You've got a lot of bubbles in asset prices that have been fueled by central bank printing. Here's the chart of M2 money supply growth, which is growing at 20% a year. Bitcoin price is staying ahead of that M2 growth. It's the only asset that's you got true price discovery. That's reflecting true money printing. Gold is not, doesn't have good price discovery in gold because it's been almost 100% financialized. That's why gold is lagging as badly as it is, and it's not a good store of value in this type of money printing. This is also why corporations like MicroStrategy under Michael Saylor has said, look, the real inflation rate is 20% a year. It's not 1.5% a year. It's not 2% a year. That's a government published number that doesn't take into consideration the massive asset valuations that are popping, that are in bubble territory. That is very convenient for those who are doing the printing. Is it coincidence that the people who do the printing of the money are the ones that are benefiting the most from the printing of the money? No, that's by design. It's incredibly corrupt. But the real number is 20%. And Bitcoin is true price discovery that's outside of the control of central banks and government because you've separated government from perfect money. So you have real price discovery. And Bitcoin is telling us that this 20% money supply growth per year is resulting in a hyperinflationary collapse of the U.S. dollar against Bitcoin. Let me repeat that. The U.S. dollar is in a hyperinflationary collapse right now against Bitcoin. And the markets, that's what the markets are telling us. I'm a free marketeer. I look at markets. When markets tell me stuff, they send signals. I read those signals and I invest accordingly. And that's what the market's telling us, that price discovery in Bitcoin is accurate and true. Price discovery in these other assets is completely manipulated, and it's demonstrably manipulated. J.P. Morgan just paid huge fines for manipulating the gold price. That used to be a conspiracy theory.
And then they made all their money back. The
Right.
same amount they paid in fines they made back this year.
Right. J.P. Morgan, they paid $1 billion in fines for manipulating gold, and they paid the fine by, you guessed it, manipulating gold.